Hello, dear friends. It's been a minute, and after a few weeks of energy upgrades and updates and transformation and rebalancing and integration, and then a much needed rest, here I am again recording the second part of the series From the Orion Wars to the New Earth. And this part is called Source Autobiography Restoring the Balance. And you will see that from this second session, you will understand why the whole concept of restoring the balance. And this was such an extraordinary session. I'm not sure how long it will take to record because I will be reading the transcript and it's about 15 pages of a Google Doc. So it might be even 1.5 hours, however long it takes. And it did not feel right for me to cut this session in two because I think this is the longest session that I have ever done, where the information flows so beautifully and it really doesn't make sense to cut it into multiple parts. So here we go. I'll be reading the transcript. I really hope you enjoy the session, and if you do, leave me comments below. I love receiving them from you. I love to see a little group of subscribers. So I'm very grateful and would love to hear what you think about this one. So let's go into part 2, Source Autobiography, Restoring the Balance. I guide Sandy to a beautiful place to start the session. And he says, a beautiful beach with white sand, the palm trees at the edge of the beach, at the edge of the land. There's a jungle with palm trees and there's nobody anywhere. Very beautiful, very dense jungle, very calm sea. I hear the birds. The birds are singing way back in the jungle. They are like parrots calling out to each other back and forth across the jungle. The birds are very beautiful and the flowers are beautiful in the jungle. I smell the flowers, these beautiful, exotic flowers with their rich combination of smells. Sweet, sour, dense, light. It's a beautiful world, an absolutely beautiful world. I see the beautiful sky. The blue sky has a pink tinge to it, like a faint pink light, like it has a different atmosphere. Perfect temperature. I ask if he perceives himself to have a body in this beautiful place. I do. I have a perfect body. I'm not sure what I am. My feet are gray and furry, and my hands are gray and furry. I'm an ape-like creature. I am very peaceful there, sitting on the beach, feeling at one with nature, gazing into the sky. It's quite wonderful. Except something is breaking through the atmosphere. It's like falling stars. Red light flashes coming through the atmosphere. Something's crashing through the atmosphere, sparkles of light. Something is changing. I feel like we've been discovered. Someone has found us, and this is the end of our people. I can feel it. These new lights coming in are bringing change. I ask him to tell me a bit about his people. We live in nature. We live with respect. We don't have language. We make sounds. We sing. We dance. We have furry faces. We love life. We don't want to be anywhere else. We love it here. We've been here since the last time we were chased off a planet. It's like we can't find peace. Ask him to tell me about the other planet. It was destroyed. The forest was burning in a very serious, dense smoke, black smoke, burning the forest, moving the animals, moving all the inhabitants towards the water's edge. They're coming to do the same here. I can see they're using beams to burn our forests away. They're doing it again to this place where I am. I'm looking for others, but I don't see them. I'm alone on the beach. The fire is coming closer. I see they are enslaving a lot of us, forcing us to fight for them. I'm asking who is doing all of this. The dark forces, they colonize us. They are taking over the planets in our system, our beautiful planet. They don't see the beauty. They don't respect life. They don't respect organic life. They don't see the beauty of these worlds. They see them as mineral wealth, and that's all they see. That's all they think about is profit. They are looking for copper, gold. They inhale the gold. They grind the gold up and it gives them life. It helps them live longer. They use the copper in their machines. There's other black minerals as well that they're using. I don't know what they are. We don't have machines. We don't use machines. I'm asking what happens to him. I'm rising above it. I'm seeing the planet from above. I'm aboard a ship. I've been taken because I'm a strong male. They want my DNA. That's another product that they're after, DNA for genetic mixing, genetic experiments. They want my blood because I'm a very healthy species. I am a healthy representative of that species. They want to drain my blood out of me and use that blood for genetic experiments. I ask who is doing this. They are very dark. They are using machines to work for them. There are people within machines, souls within the machines that are operating them. But the machines have a way of behaving on their own as well, like a consciousness, but it's not a real consciousness. It's just a machine consciousness. It can't feel anything. It just does what it's told. The souls are suffering that are trapped inside them. I ask him to explain how can he tell that they're suffering. Because I can read their minds. They have minds. Most of the machines don't, but some of them, the ones that are active, that are walking around in the black suits, they have souls trapped inside of them, and I can telepathically communicate with them. And I'm able to plead with them to try to reawaken the humanity within them, the civilization within them, the feeling of good, the respect for life within them. And I'm sending images of how beautiful our planet is, how beautiful some planets are. Planets where nature is in balance, where we look at sunrises and sunsets. And I'm sending a cascade of these images into one of these beings. And I'm linked to that being. I'm part of that being. Because as they drain the life out of my body in order to store my blood for their genetic experiments, I merge with that being. I ask him how he's merging with that being. I'm merging into their heart and into their mind, and then giving them ideas. And that being is changing as a result. That being was miserable, and it was trying to find a way out. I am that being, and I become merged with that being, and that's how I leave that body, because I have the imagery of how I can be, how I can escape that body now. And the two of us become one. And this, by the way, it's me interjecting here. And if by any chance you haven't listened to part one, please go ahead and listen to the part one right now and pause right here, because this way you'll understand exactly who is the being with the dark boots, the being trapped into a mechanical machine. And once you're finished with that part, you can come back here. Otherwise, it may not make much sense. All right, so here we go, continuing the session. And I'm asking him, how is he able to merge with that being? What happens to the two souls to be able to merge into that one being? They are part of the same soul. They are the same soul. They are aspects of the same being, one living in peace and one living in war. They are part of the original conflict. I point out that it's quite a coincidence that he should have met another part of the same soul, And I asked him, how does he think that happened from his perspective? We are the same oversoul. We are the same entity, the same being. And it's joyful to meet them again. We planned the visit. We have planned the visit on a higher level, both of us, so that we could experience something new, because both of us are one of us. And this is true of myself across many incarnations. It's this beautiful merger now. This is possible. I'm seeing how this is possible, what we call walk-ins. It is possible through agreements, but it's an agreement with a self in different states. It's very beautiful. I can feel my head expanding and my third eye expanding just at this realization that we are so many people in one setting, so many different diametrically opposed experiences that we can then merge together and recognize two sides of the same coin. We become like the yin-yang symbol for light and dark flowing together, blending together, merging, splashing together, black ink and white ink, and moving into the light, diving higher. This realization allows us to raise ourselves out of those bodies, and we expand higher, and it's a release for both of us. The peaceful passive state and the agitated active state come together and become actively one being. And that's the one being that dives into the ocean. I've taken on the person. This is the one being that dives into Mars and has the conflict within it. The peaceful soul walked into the agitated soul and led to his waking up, my waking up, our waking up. I asked him whether for walk-ins one soul has to die in order for the other to awaken. One body dies and the other was trapped in a prison. The aspect of me that's trapped in the prison attracts the aspect of me that's coming from the body, that's leaving the DNA for the experiments and moving, rising, and creating a new life. And that new life is going to live through that experience again, but with much higher enlightenment, because it's equally aware of both the passive side and the active side. And that is the joyful experience of fighting through those wars, knowing that there is peace and that there is conflict. And that's the beginning of a beautiful, balanced experience. And that experience itself leads to create conflict. It's a playful spirit, but it's a playful spirit that attracts, because it has the darkness in it that attracts the dominion to follow it. That's the playful spirit that we cleaned up last time. So what we could do is go in reverse, go back into the dark spirit who is destroying the planet, see how that spirit became entrapped. That spirit became convinced that it was doing the right thing. Right back at the onset of the Orion Wars, that spirit became very powerful through destruction, through the creation of machines that would destroy forests without feeling the slightest emotion. And we became like the machines that we created. We were able to wipe out our emotions, to feel nothing for the worlds that we destroyed. We were able to cease seeing any kind of beauty, any kind of color or texture. We became very black, very dark. And we became obsessed with gathering these minerals. And our plan was to create a new kind of being that is created out of the metals, out of the materials, that is run by artificial intelligence. But we want to infuse those machines with DNA. And this is the DNA that we're capturing in the blood that we're gathering. In a sense, we're trying to go full circle and recreate machines that then feel what the creatures feel. It's perverse. From where I'm looking now, I can see the perversion of it. We destroy something in order to create our version of something because we can control that version. It's complete perversion. And it's exactly what is happening on Earth at this time right now. There are laboratories doing this on Earth right now. It's a complete perversion of nature. It's trying to create a version of a robot that's half human and half machine that can be controlled completely because we've lost touch We've lost track of how to feel, how to see, how to observe beauty, how to know what beauty is. For us, beauty is a machine that can be controlled, where there is absolutely no question of how things will turn out, because we program how things will turn out. We know how everything turns out because we program it. But we also want to see how it feels to be within that program. What an extraordinary, bizarre way of viewing things I see. It's so bizarre. It just strikes me as so odd. It's almost impossible to imagine. But there are beings who are so lost in their thinking and in their guidance that they want to know what it's like to feel again, but they're afraid to feel because in feeling they don't have control. So they're trying to create machines that will feel for them, but that they can control so they know the outcome of every situation. They want only situations where they're controlling it and then seeing what the emotional response is to that. So they're creating these cyborgs, these hybrids of humans and machines that cannot rebel against them, as was done in previous genetic experiments. But if there's a heavy machine component involved, the machine can be controlled, and then they will try to perceive the world, the emotional world, through the feelings of these machines. And I ask, who are they specifically? It's the Dominion, it's the Dark Orion group, the group that is trying to impose order over the universe. They imagine an orderly universe. All I see is darkness. I see dark machines. They see an orderly universe in which everything is controlled from a central source and nothing is unexpected. There is no freedom, there is no chance. Everything is exactly as it's programmed. It's the world of machines. And they've taken it to such an extent that they want to experiment with how it would feel for the machines to start feeling and sensing things again. But they don't want the machines to be able to control themselves. They want the machines always to be under their control because they choose order. And if you go up to the top, it's the supreme programmer. There is one overall soul who cannot stand disorder, who wants order, an orderly mechanical clockwork universe where everything is on time. Everything is as the programmer wants it. Nothing is left up to any kind of free will or whim, or I suppose chance. It's a clockmaker, the machine maker. I see gears and electrical impulses running through the gears. And I'm seeing an image of this universe that's just complete clockwork. And I'm asking him that at the very top, he said there's one being who's at the very, very top that cannot stand this. He's the ultimate controller. Does this ultimate controller have a name? Are you aware of a name? I keep getting Lucifer as the name. Okay, and just keep the image of that controller in mind. He is in a huge, huge ship. This ship is the size of a planet, a giant spherical ship surrounded by machines, full of laboratories. He's very powerful. He's made himself immortal by being in a machine. He's a consciousness that's trapped in a machine. If we're going to end the conflict, we have to release him from that machine, but he doesn't want to be released. We have to find a way to convince him to release himself from the machine. He's trying to frighten me, but he can't because I know that I'm the light. There's a part of him that wants to be released. He doesn't want us to go. There is a part of him that wants to end it, to end the conflict. It's like going to the heart of darkness and appealing to that heart of darkness. We can end the war. We can end the war by focusing light on him. He knows that what he's doing is perverse. He knows that he chose to do this and he's losing heart. He's the head of the fallen. angels. At this point, I'm instructing Sandy to leave this place and go back further back when all of this began, back to a time when the soul got trapped even before the soul got to where it was. And we are going to the very, 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 very beginning of the story before everything started going this way. Going to the very beginning of this soul, the beginning of how this being came to be. And he says, the first thought was, I am. Tell me what you're aware of. Nothing, no thing. There is no awareness. Tell me more. The awareness wakes up when it says, I am. As soon as it is everything. It becomes aware, and that is our world. That is the creation, the entire creation. The entire created universe is nothing becoming aware that it's everything, and so it becomes everything at once. Everything in truth is nothing until it becomes aware that it's everything. I am means that I am everything. I am all aspects of everything, of every possible experience. I am means that I am everything. I am all aspects of everything, of every possible experience. Suddenly, there's a notion I see. I see waves, but not water waves, vibrational waves, like sound waves, like waves suddenly existing all at once, being aware of itself, and suddenly feeling very happy and playful, and diving through the waves, realizing it can be anything, anywhere. Anything it possibly imagines it can be, and it begins to imagine by creating images of what might be, and as these images appear, it creates worlds where it can dive in and play with those images. When it ceases to think of them, they cease to exist, but they carry on. They can't cease to exist. They carry on as vibrations that people can go to, souls can go to, can experience. It's all a complete creation. I see it as just this intermingling of what is, like music, like light, like air. All of creation is these waves, and it's one being experiencing itself through awareness. One overall being that has decided to be by saying, I am, and everything that we see is within that being. Does this being have some sort of a name or reference? All and nothing at the same time. And I'm asking if this is the same as source. It is the source of all, yes. Awareness is the source of all things. Without awareness, there's nothing. And then I'm reminding him that last time that we spoke, he mentioned that there was one energy, one type of light, one type of creation, and that at some point the original divide, the separation happened between the light and the darkness, between the divine collective and the darkness. When the source decided to experience both sides of every event, both light and absence of light, sweet and bitter, love and hate, peace and war, as soon as he decided to experience this, duality came into play. That duality exists simultaneously, but not throughout the whole universe, not throughout all of creation. That duality is only in a part of creation. And I'm asking, how is duality related to the dominion versus the divine collective, and whether it's related in any way? Order versus chaos, order versus free will, predictability versus freedom. And then I remind him that he mentioned that there was this darker side of the dominion, and at the very, very top, it was Lucifer and the fallen angels. And I'm asking if he can tell me how it all came to be, and what does he mean by fallen angels? I'm asking him to tell me how it all started and to go to the beginning. And he says, they fall in vibration. Source divides into black and white, into light and darkness. And so aspects of Source go in to experience the light, while aspects of Source go in to experience the darkness. I ask whether there is a choice of which one they want to experience. Yes, there's always a choice. And I ask whether by aspects he means souls. Yes. And then I continue to ask whether there were aspects that in the beginning chose the darkness. Yes, knowing that it was part of the journey of experience, part of awareness, and with awareness comes choice. And within that choice, within that awareness, you can choose to follow the path of order and to try to impose order, which requires darkness taking away free will. And there's the path of light, which means encouraging free will where you have no possibility of impinging upon that free will. As you trickle down, the angels falling down into the free will world, they're enjoying their freedom and they simply cannot be controlled. They're like falling leaves in the wind. And I'm asking, where are all these angels falling from? They are falling from Source, and the dark ones, as they fall, are being controlled. They're controlled from that aspect of Source. Source divides itself into the dark and the light. And I ask, what is the aspect of Source that is controlling the dark? It's the loving aspect of Source, of awareness. It's quite high up. Within the awareness, when awareness becomes aware that it can create anything, it also creates the illusion of separation, separation from itself. And that illusion then follows into the darkness, the world of fear, the world of order. Those who fall into the darkness are strong. I'm asking, how is falling a choice if an aspect of Source is controlling that falling? It's falling in the metaphorical sense of lowering the vibration. Source gives them the freedom. There's a choice made for those who wish to experience order and for those who wish to experience free will. So they separate, and the souls that experience order can't stand free will, and the souls that go into free will can't stand being told what to do. They are both separation. And then I continue to ask him to explain to me the difference between the angels that are perceived as belonging to the light and the angels that are perceived as belonging to the dark, as it sounds like they're all fallen angels because they all fell from Source. They are all fallen angels. They're all angels that are going down in vibration, but the angels that go down in the light still feel a connection to Source. The angels that fall down in the darkness have chosen to leave the illusion of separation from Source. That's why they had to be the stronger of the two, because in order for them to deeply dive into that experience, they had to cut off their connection to Source. They couldn't do it. They can't do it. It's impossible because they are Source. But they create the illusion of separation from Source in order to dive into that body of experience. Whereas those who choose the light, it's an easier path because they know that they're always Source. They've maintained their connection to Source. They don't have to leave the illusion of separation. They hold the light within them, within their hearts, as they travel through a different body of experience. They enjoy life, they enjoy freedom. They don't like being told what to do. If somebody tries to tell them what to do, they'll do something different. That's their experience. But they never lose track of Source. They never separate themselves from their origins. They know they come from the One. They know that they are the One. They are fractals. They're fragments of the One. Whereas those who have chosen a journey into darkness have cut off that link to Source. It's an illusion. They can't actually cut off their link to Source because they are Source. But they leave the illusion of separation, and As they dive deeper and deeper vibrationally into denser and denser vibrations, they get further and further away from their knowledge, their knowing that they are source. And they are able to completely live in this very deep, dark illusion. Because when awareness says, I am as everything. I am as every possible variation of experience. And so only the bravest of the brave choose to create that body of experience that takes them so far deep into density. And then I ask him to tell me about the origin of Lucifer and the fallen angels from a different perspective that we could potentially understand more easily from where we are right now. Is the choice to live in the material world. It is a choice to live in materiality. So I ask him about this choice, the beginning, and I ask to look at this beginning. I see a great conference, a great debate. There is a great debate with millions and millions of souls, and the souls who have decided to take their awareness away from Source and to try to pretend that Source doesn't exist anymore, decide that they are going to conquer the light. At the conference, it's a meeting of millions and millions of souls at the edge of a density. They are all souls of a similar vibration, and it's at the point of creation, at the start of the creation of that density, at the edge of fifth density. They're at the edge. They know that they're going deeper, and they're going to go deeper into that density. And they're going to go into a density where they're going to begin to really forget that they belong to the light and to Source, and that they can change with their own will. They can, at a slightly higher vibration, regain the light and regain the Source and remember who they are and relax and be joyful. But at this conference, there's a decision that as they go into that light, there's going to be conflict because they are going to join forces. Those who choose to dive deeply into the material world, they know that they're going to have to take on material bodies, materiality, material density, to the extent where they have to cut their way from Source, cut off their links to Source. They decide to go together. There's this huge meeting of souls. Before the meeting, everything is one. Everything is vibration at the same level. Then they decide to go lower and experience separation. And they're going to go lower for the sheer experience of separation. And as they go lower, they can create this sense of order and having to control through order. And I'm asking, what about the souls who don't want to join? They are the souls who choose to go into light, into the angelic realms of the fifth density going down. In that density, they're the ones who choose to be the light beings, because in order for there to be contrast, half of the souls have to choose darkness, and half of the souls have to choose light. And I ask, why is it half? Because they've chosen to go into that density, and so in order for there to be a balance, half of the souls have to be enlightened and half of the souls have to be materialized. It's an exact balance, an exact harmonious balance. So I'm asking, are all the souls, is everyone at this meeting where half of the souls decide to go into a lower dense vibration? And he says, yes, everyone is there. And everyone at that meeting then disperses. And I ask whether they end up being in agreement about what will happen. Everyone shares the same perspective at the outset, that either side is doing what they're doing out of free will. The enlightened ones are admiring the courage of those who choose to dive deeply, because everyone can see that it's going to be a very, very painful journey for them. But they choose to go anyway because it's part of awareness. It's part of Source. It's part of existence. It's going into a realm where you have black and white, positive, negative, pain and joy, love and hate. And so there's deep, heartfelt, loving admiration on behalf of those who are choosing to go into the light realms of this lower density. They're feeling great love and empathy for those who are choosing to go into the material realms, into the dark realms. They're called dark because they choose to cut themselves off from their access to the light, but they have access to the light. They can always quit and join the light. And I'm asking whether it's okay to quit if a balance is required. Then they can neutralize, in a sense, that realm. When those forces all come together again, they neutralize that realm. I ask whether it was a part of the plan to ever come together again. When they come together again, they're in the higher realms. They're at the end of 5D, beginning of 6D. If you're going to view it that way, it's kind of a stormy sea of vibration there. But when the souls decide to leave materialism, then they leave the conflict and they rise to a point where they see themselves united again with Source, with the light source. And in a sense, that realm no longer needs to exist because it's experienced fully experienced in the present moment, because all is happening in the present moment. So it's a question of the journeys, the aspects of the journeys for those who choose that. These are all expressions of the divine. Everyone, everything, every consciousness, every being, everything is an expression of the divine. And you can see that as these expressions merge with the light again, that's where they merge. They merge at that edge of the vibrational sphere. And they're in the light again. So to summarize, I point out that at the meeting, half of them decide to go in lower vibration and half of them decide to stay in the light. They agreed to be 50-50 for a balance, but then the equilibrium is not held if some move from the darkness into the light or the other way around. And I'm asking whether the equilibrium has to be maintained now, or if that was just in the beginning. Souls can leave the darkness in the same way that enlightened souls are happy to leave and go up and raise their vibration and go into the light. I can see what happens is that as the dark souls become more and more bitter and forget who exactly they are, they try to trap some of the light souls. And so what they've done is they've created an imbalance. Within the lower density, it was no longer a balance of dark and light, because the dark souls set out to conquer the planets of light souls and conquer the beings of the light souls and to make more and more of them dark, because they've actually completely lost their memory of connection to Source. They're very, very dark and they've lost their memory. And so they look for converts. They look for souls to convert to the darkness, and they begin to spread, and they spread very quickly. Capturing the light souls goes against the agreement, but it's something that exists. Because you also have light souls who choose the darkness, but then you have dark souls who choose to go into the lightness, and it creates a huge imbalance. The dark souls begin to lure the enlightened ones as they're going down further and further into 3D, into the material realms and into the lower third dimension. Many of the enlightened souls, in fact, most of the enlightened souls, begin to forget that they are actually connected to the light, and they are easily enticed into the world of separation just simply by being promised that their journey in the material world will be much better. Because those of the darkness begin to control the material wealth, because it's all an illusion, and they create systems like the banking system, the energy systems, that make it appear in the illusion that you have great wealth, but of course you have nothing. It's all just electromagnetic vibration. And so people in many of these worlds are then taken over and controlled, and they're enslaved without them even knowing it. And they're enslaved by this system that promised them this kind of wealth so long as they become part of the darkness, and a great imbalance has occurred. And I'm clarifying that when he says darkness, he's referring to those fallen angels, the souls who choose to lower in vibration in the beginning. And I'm asking whether these are the dominion and whether they're related. The dominion is part of it, yes. They choose to take more rather than living in the balance of dark and light. They become so obsessed with their world of control and darkness and materialism that they don't want the light there anymore. They want everything to be controlled. They want to do away with free will. I can see them spreading like a dark wave across white feathers, like oil across white. And I ask, what is the problem of spreading? It creates a universal imbalance. It feels like an illness because it's an imbalance in the light, and you can feel it in the higher vibrations as well. You can feel that there's an imbalance. It's like an illness in the stomach. It's an illness in overall creation. So, to summarize, I point out that in the beginning there was balance, and as long as all could have free will, that would have been okay. But the problem now is that some are taking over the free will of others, so the souls can no longer experience what they signed up for. Yes, and they're trapped. They become trapped in an order. Their souls can be trapped even when they finish lifetimes. Their souls can be trapped in this electromagnetic vibration, and they can then be put into these mechanical bodies and these cyborgs, and so they don't actually allow them to go back to the light. They trap them within this lower electromagnetic density, which has become controlled by this dark, dark part of the matrix, this dark dominion force that chooses to conquer and to not respect the free will of others. So I thank him for the information and I ask him to tell me just a little bit about what happened since that council ended and half of the souls went to the lower vibration. What happened between that perceived moment in time and where we are today, where there's a pyramid, and at the very, very, very top, there's a soul, Lucifer. What happens in between and how does it evolve? A spread of darkness. It's a very, very rapid spread of darkness. The darkness spreads very, very quickly into the enlightened areas. As it spreads, you can see it like tentacles, like wisps of dark smoke. The one at the top is the highest version of the others. When the division takes place, there are two entities at that vibration who split, one into the dark souls and one into the light souls. There are those two main entities. There's Lucifer and there's God, and they are two sides of the same being. And I ask whether Lucifer is not part of God. Lucifer is God, and God is Lucifer. And above them is? Above them, you go right up to Source. What we call our God down here, that God aspect, the divine aspect, is the same as Lucifer. They're both the same. They're both the same thing. They're that point at which Source decided to experience contrast. There is that one instant where Source goes into that vibration and decides to experience what it feels like to be in contrast. And so that contrast then materializes into God and Lucifer, but they are both the same being. They are just two sides of the same being, which is that aspect of Source. And then I ask whether the council meeting happens right before the split or after the split. The council meeting happens exactly after the split because the council is the meeting, the expressions of Lucifer and God meeting in council agreeing on the rules of free will versus order. And it turns into a huge argument. It's like a huge philosophical argument within that one being. How can you have free will where there is order? And how can you have order where there is free will? It dissipates and it collapses as you go down into the density. into what we know as Orion Wars. That's the origins of the Orion Wars, where you have this one being who decides to experience contrast. And that contrast expresses itself as order versus free will. Darkness simply means losing your connection to source, versus light means you retain your connection to source. And that's all it means. So the darkness lose their enlightenment, and the light retain their enlightenment. And it's like this incredible split. It's a split personality of source. And source then shoots these expressions of itself down. They gather together there at this very, very high vibrational level. They've gathered together in this massive sphere, and they're deciding on the rules of the game. And the rules of the game are respect and free will. But the order, the expressions of order led by Lucifer say, but you can't have free will in order. And the free will side say, yes, you can. We respect you, your decision to live orderly lives, while we live free lives. And those who choose order say, but we can't exist as long as you exist. And the enlightened ones say, but we have to exist together. This is a coexistence. We have to respect each other. You have to respect the fact that there is free will in the universe. And we have to respect the fact that there is order in the universe. And free will allows for order to exist, but order cannot allow for free will to exist because it doesn't make sense to them. And so they begin instantly this conquest of the free will regions, the notion of free will. They want to take over all of the free will universe, all of the free will vibration, and turn it into an area of darkness. And Source can't have that because that's not balance. That's the universe out of balance. That's that part of universe. That's that part of the universe out of balance. That part of creation, that part of awareness. Creation is simply awareness and is awareness of all aspects of being, including conflict, contrast. That is an aspect of being. It's such a beautiful universe. But there is this dark, cloudy area. But it's coming back into balance. Balance is being restored as more and more souls are respecting each other's free will. There are those who will continue to respect order, but they will also respect the fact that there are those who choose not to be orderly. It's like having somebody working in an office and the 9-to-5 job, and somebody choosing to be a traveling minstrel or a painter, somebody choosing to work in a factory or drive a train or fly an airplane, and somebody is choosing to serve. They can exist together. And so when the balance is restored, we have worlds where you have both free will and order. And even those living in the orderly world can begin to reawaken to their connection to Source. That connection was lost after the huge argument that led to the Orion Wars and the conquest. And this is why Lucifer wants to be liberated. Because Lucifer wants the balance as well. Lucifer is tired. Is he remembering more of the connection? Yes, and more of the dark ones are remembering their connection. So the light versus darkness and the Orion Wars are not about perceived good versus perceived bad. It's about, would you say, it's about an agreed balance that was broken and restoring that balance in order for everyone to exist. Yes, it's an agreement for respect, for mutual respect, and that there are those who will choose to live in the illusion of darkness, and they may be allowed to do so, so long as they don't try to take away somebody else's light. It's harmony, it's balance, it's allowing for free will on all sides, and harmony and differences of character, and restoring balance, homeostasis, balance. Because the universe, the world that we're in this vibration down here, is governed by electromagnetism with positive and negative polarity. There has to be a balance between those two. You can't upset that balance. And the conquest of the dominion has tried to upset that balance for its own body of experience, and it is a glorious body of experience. The bravest souls who dive deeply, deeply into these very dark caverns, and they have experienced this immense sense of isolation and density, like rocks, living hearts of stone, until they realize that it's an existence of utter despair. And upon that realization, they begin rising, and gradually they are shown more and more into light. They wash ashore into the sunlight, and they're shown that there is more and that they are in a connection to other things. They're not isolated. They're never isolated. They never were, although they thought they were. They believed that they were as part of their experience. This is a necessary part of all densities. The very brave souls have gone there and chosen that density, like the very brave souls who have chosen material density, believing that that's all there is, forgetting that they're connected, that they are one, that all is one. But that is ending now, as more and more people in this part of the vibration, in this part of that universe, more and more people are realizing that there's more to existence than their material wealth, than their material beings. They're looking around and saying, is this all there is? Is this really all there is? And their connections to Source see them waking up and say, no, this isn't all there is. There's much, much more. And so they're being guided to people. They're being guided back into religious groups, back into meditation. They're being guided back to nature, where they realize their interconnections to nature. And through that, even just through sitting under a tree, someone can have an awakening. And it literally is an awakening. And it can be felt like an electromagnetic experience where suddenly they're back in harmony. They're grounded. They're not static electricity anymore. They're balanced electricity. They are waves, balanced waves, and they can expand themselves then higher and higher and reconnect with who they truly are. And as they reconnect with who they truly are, they find others at similar vibrations and reconnect with them. They can break away from those who aren't awakening, and they move forwards. And they move towards magnetically, electromagnetically. They move towards those who are attracting them, and then attracting each other into groups that then move higher and higher in a vibrational sense and find themselves moving closer and closer to the light. It's like rising to the surface of a body of water where suddenly you can see that there's sun and there's air, and then you can rise higher and higher and higher. And just be balanced and happy in who you are and who you've chosen to be. And remember your connection to Source, far beyond God and Lucifer. And I'm asking, how can one remember their connection to Source? By looking deep into their heart and seeing that they are light. There will always be a spark of light deep within the heart of all creation. All expressions of Source always retain that divine spark. No matter how dense you go, that spark is always there in every expression. And as you go deeper into your heart, you'll find that there is that light, and you will be attracted to others who have this huge light about them, and you'll know that they will help you discover the light within you, and then help you enlarge your own light within you. And then others will be attracted to you, and you'll begin to share your light and bring the light together by connecting your hearts. In an open heart meditation, you can connect your hearts, and as more and more people connect their hearts, this vibration then expands. It's a beautiful image. It expands like you are a blossoming flower, a flower of life. It is infinite, interconnected, it's spherical, it's interconnected. And you can then, as you expand, get out to the limits, beyond the God and Lucifer divide. And you can go straight beyond contrast and rise up way above contrast and feel yourself truly belonging to Source. And there's a whole other body of extraordinary experience there, realms that are unimaginable for people in these lower densities, realms of extraordinary, beautiful existence, experiences way beyond these human bodies of extreme bliss. Each of you has a memory of this locked away in your hearts. Some of you have a better connection to that memory than others, but it's a beautiful existence. It really is a gorgeous existence, way beyond these realms. And eventually, as you rise higher and higher in that existence, you can allow yourself to merge with that awareness and just simply be and be joyful in your existence. Be happy. Be the one. Be the source of all that is and be thankful for every aspect of creation because you are every aspect of creation. It is all within all of you. This reminds us of who we are down here on Earth. We are everything. We are everything. We have the ability to be whatever we choose to be. We are all that is. So I'm giving thanks for such a beautiful session and information, and I'm asking whether there's anything else before we close the session. Sandy is a ball of light, a ball of extraordinary light, a light body. And then I'm thanking for all the information we were given, for these beautiful, beautiful insights and information. And I'm thanking everyone for help, and I'm asking, where did we connect today? We connected very, very high. We connected to Source. We connected straight up to Source. Source was sharing its autobiography. Source would love to show us some of those higher realms, but realizes that we can't really understand them. So I'm thanking Sandy and I'm thanking Source and I'm thanking his higher self for this beautiful, beautiful information that came through as we are closing our second session. And as you notice, this second session was quite long and there is so much to it. So please go back and re-listen to the parts that you find were the most relevant, because I know that this session has been packed with many, 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 many very beautiful pieces and very dense with a lot of information. And so here we are. This is the end of part 2. Thank you for listening. Leave a comment below if you feel inclined to do so. And as soon as I can, I'll see you in part 3. Love and light.